Roadmap to Victory is sponsored by the R&R family of companies.
Welcome back to Nittany Game Week. It wasn't pretty the last time Illinois visited Beaver Stadium. 9 overtimes, all kinds of missed two-point conversions in those extra sessions. An unbalanced offensive line scheme led to a big day rushing for Illinois a few years ago. Coach Bradley, Coach Paterno, they just went into Lincoln to beat a ranked Nebraska squad. What do the Nittany Lions need to be aware of coming into this matchup with the 19th ranked team in the country?
Well, I think last year, Penn State goes to Illinois, they win by 17. Game was a lot closer than you think, but it was a +5 turnover margin for Penn State, which is the difference. This is a different Illinois team, and that's been the biggest thing. They're doing better points per game. They're doing better in a number of things. They're 100% in the red zone, which is important. Those are big things for them. When you look at all the numbers, they're a much better team. They are big at running back. 6'3", 250 is their starter. 6'1", 235 is McCray, who had 142 yards against Penn State in that game we mentioned. And they've gotten better at wide out. The quarterback is playing no interceptions this year as opposed to last year when they had 13 interceptions as a team. So a very different team in terms of taking care of the little things. Now, you mentioned the unbalanced line. This is what it looked like. There's good, this was 9 blockers, not even a wideout in the game. That kind of gives you nightmares. And speaking of nightmares, this meme, this isn't real, obviously, but that's how it felt. Now, will Illinois do those things? What's similar to that team? They like the power run game. But they are more wideout. There's a lot more wideouts in the game than they've had in the past. We're going to spread you out a little bit more. 103 career starts with a mobile quarterback and a big back, and they're going to want to run the power. And watch this, Tom. And talk about watching a guy that plays 250 run downhill. How much does that excite you on defense?
Wouldn't excite me if I'm a corner playing out there.
No, that's a big man to bring down.
This
is the first play of that overtime. Yeah. Now, let's talk about the unbalanced extra line. They do it. 6 linemen, not 9 this time. When you add the tight end in, the extra lineman, and even the wideouts, 200 pounds. These 7 blockers over a ton, and they will do some things with play action, and they bring that big man out for the touchdown, Tom, against Nebraska.
Yeah, they do. There's so many things. When you start looking at, we're talking about the big formation, the big boys in the game. You're going to see that on Saturday for sure.
One thing's the difference about Illinois this year, there's more talent. They're deeper at wideout. So that does create some situations, Tom, where run support, 3-by-1, so to speak, formation. Now you got one-on-one. Now how important is it to be able to hold up there?
Well, you're going to see a lot of one-on-ones in this game because of the run game. You're going to see a lot of 7 guys around the ball to stop that run. So there's going to be a lot of one-on-one shots, and that's both sides of the ball, offense and defense.
Yeah, keep in mind that wideout's making this catch. Franklin is the career leader among active receivers, over 280-something receptions already. Now let's talk about the defense. Where are they better? Turnovers. Their numbers are not as good against the run, but again, they are +7 in turnovers, 7 interceptions. That's why the points per game is down for them. 7 interceptions. They had 7 all of last year. Let's talk about some of the people to look at. The secondary, very experienced back there. A number of guys, Scott are the 2 guys in secondary. Keep an eye on. They are not related. They're going to have the safety low, run support, things that are important, tight ends and play action. That's been good for Penn State this year. And then you're going to have to win some one-on-one matchups out there, Tom.
You're definitely going to have to, because one of the things they're able to do, they're getting there with 4 guys. The pass rush is what's really helping.
Let's talk about how they're getting those turnovers. They're doing a really good job of reading quarterbacks' eyes. Allard, we've talked about at times, has gotten locked into guys. And here's a great play by the corner, reading the quarterback's eyes. How important is that to look those guys off?
Very important. When you see a play like this, you know how important it is.
Yeah, and the secondary is very experienced. Now, to beat them, they're going to do a lot of things disguising coverages. That's given some problems. They're aggressive in physical coverage. They will disguise. Penn State only hit 46% of their passes last year against them. But if you catch them trying to switch up like this quarterback from Nebraska does, you can get big plays. And this is a big play in the game to get Nebraska back to tie it overtime, but then they did a great job in the overtime shutting them down. And one last note on special teams, their kicker is 7 of 8 for field goals. And then they have another kicker that comes in and hit a 59-yarder as well. So they get across that 50, they're looking at points.
Thank you, coaches. Late September, under the lights, ranked opponent. It feels like it's a whiteout atmosphere, and apparently it will look like a whiteout. Coach Franklin has asked for whiteout energy for this game. Illinois head coach Brett Bielema knows how difficult a night victory is for any team coming to Happy Valley.
It's kind of like a spaceship out in the middle of nowhere, and there's dress. I don't know if they're going to be in blue and white or whatever they're going to be in this weekend. They're going to be dressed right, and it's probably going to be one or the other. I know they're calling for a whiteout energy, whatever the hell that means. But I would just tell you that like the part that really I think stands out is their fans are intelligent. They've got tradition.
Yeah, Coach Bielema said it's similar to Nebraska, and they just beat the Huskers on the road. Tough assignment to win 2 straight in hostile territory. It sure would help to have a player like Marco Rivera along the offensive line. The 1994 Penn State team enjoyed watching him push people around. The former NFL All-Pro is our Impact interview guest. He talks about the clutch drives that kept that team undefeated when we come back. You're watching Nittany Game Week.